Welcome to a brand new web show here on YouTube where the only remit is that the bands must effing rock. And just recently attending the Dogbones at the Underworld in Camden, and what a fantastic show it was on the night. Nomi Leonard is a fantastic vocalist, a performer with the ability to go from light to shade. Some songs a little bit more subdued, right up to the more growling songs like perhaps Anurin Ley Line, or maybe even It Was a Lie. Now I always think that's a mark of a really talented vocalist, to be able to do that, to be able to show different sides of yourself, and the emotion that's being conveyed by Nomi on the stage was just amazing and out there, and I think she really puts the performance over tenfold. Now Johnny Orion, what can be said about this guy? One of the most influential UK guitarists of all time. This is a guy who influenced some of the greats. So many have quoted Daisy Chainsaw as being their biggest influence, and I think certainly myself, I think they're one of the best bands of all time. To have Johnny still active is an absolute pleasure. To have him there is an incredible thing, and long may it continue. Of course, Michael then adding tenfold to that rhythm section.
Absolutely, there's a guy who's just locked into that groove from the get-go. I mean, he just doesn't miss a beat. He's locked tight, that guy, and you know, to see him just so stuck in that groove and really just taking it from the bottom end and really getting it out there, you know, I could feel the floor rumble with the rip of that bass, and a pleasure to watch as well. I mean, he's just a cool cat, you know.
Now, one of the unique things about the Dogbones is their use of two drummers. You have Dr. Johnson, the man from Daisy Chainsaw, who's been there, done that, and perhaps that's why one of the factors maybe that brought him into this band is to do something different and sharing the drum duties with Joe Perez. These two really, again, they're at the back of the stage, but you wouldn't know it because the volume and indeed that double bass drum kicking in, it all adds something very special.
Indeed it does, and not forgetting Joe, of course, one of the former members of Selfish Cunt, but nothing selfish about this guy when he's sharing his drums with Dr. Johnson. And yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to watch these guys. Here's two drummers on one kit basically, with a bass drum separating both, and drumming from each side of the bass drum, I suppose. Kind of strange to see at first, but definitely makes for an interesting show. How they mic it is another story, and if it cuts the mustard, I suppose, in smaller venues is another story, but it certainly did cut the mustard for me. It was a powerhouse, a complete powerhouse of a team of, I suppose would be a good way to put it. And these guys, I mean, for a moment I felt like I was in there watching John Bonham on one side and Keith Moon on the other side, just going absolutely hell for leather. And you don't see that kind of passion with bands anymore, you know. They're so safe and they're just playing on their rim shots, or you know, hitting splash cymbals and stuff like that. Nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff. You want to hear rock and roll when you see a rock and roll band, and these guys both, you know, phenomenal players.
A fantastic crowd at the Underworld at Camden. This really is the venue that you want to see a band like Dogbones. You don't want to see them on the stage of the O2. I mean, it just wouldn't be right. It's very intimate. It's very, I think, fan-led. I mean, they get to talk directly to the people who like their music. I mean, they're on an independent label, and I think that's what it's all about.
And at least it's a venue, I suppose, as opposed to just a bar with rugby shirts on one side and football shirts down the other. It's a rock and roll venue, you know. And no better place for the Dogbones.
Such a mix of people at the Underworld. Of course, Camden, a famous alternative place, if you like. A lot of people into what perhaps could be called alt, maybe alt rock or alt whatever, but they do seem to be there, and I think that's probably the thinking behind getting those guys on, and certainly they showed up in their droves on the night. These days bands just don't entertain. The shows are bland. Really, you've got guys on stage that they're wearing yesterday's clothes. They don't dress up for the occasion. You certainly couldn't say that about the Dogbones. Johnny Orion still representing the image that we all know him best for. And Nomi, well, what can be said? I mean, that is a lady who's as colourful as a performer as you're ever going to see on stage. So front of stage, you've got a lot of presence there, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. You can see all the crowd went straight to the front of the stage. They wanted to see this show, and it's more than just a music show. It's an actual celebration, if you like, of what these guys have done in the past and what their future is going to be. Now, that album is available, as I say, in HMV and online. So many great songs in there. I think we need a festival dedicated to bands just like this, because it's not like the fans went anywhere. I mean, a lot of people changed their musical habits, but were they forced to? I mean, it seems in this part of the world often, unlike America, we tend to just drop genres of music forms like that you would have heard on the radio before, now wouldn't get any airplay.
It's like the new trendy shoes. I suppose everybody wants to wear the trendy shoes, but you know, I'll always be the one to say, yeah, give me that shit and just crank it up. And that's what I like about the Dogbones. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to say, oh, I'm ashamed to like these guys. I love these guys. The Dogbones are great. When I watch the Dogbones, I go right back to the days of, I suppose, Mudhoney, Nirvana, bands that kind of did it best, I suppose, from the grunge era. There's certainly a lot of that in the Dogbones repertoire. You can hear stuff coming from Nomi, those screams. I mean, she really delivers it from the heart, and I think these days you don't really see a lot of people do that. I mean, there's a couple of kind of jabroni ones out there trying their best, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's all fad stuff. There's nobody really sticking to the guns and saying it like they mean it, I suppose. And that's one thing about the Dogbones that are really kind of enthralling me, I suppose, from the start of the gig right the way till the end.
It's always special to hear Johnny singing. He was at one time the lead vocalist of Dizzy Q Viper. At other times as well in his career, including Daisy Chainsaw, we've seen him on vocals. Now in this case, in fact, Nomi and Johnny share the lead vocals. Johnny on several of those songs. I have to say I love that Never Gonna Get Us. It's a fantastic scathing attack on the record industry, and I think one that is probably down to personal experience and what's probably happened to those guys over the years.
Absolutely, yeah. And here's another guy who's not afraid to carry a comb around. You know, it's been a long time since I've seen somebody brush that fringe out of their hair. You know, these days I suppose it's all tied haircuts and all that kind of stuff. Again, just proving the point that these guys aren't afraid to keep it rock.
A band that are not one bit pretentious. You can see how they brought their fans up on stage in the middle of their set, and this is something that isn't often done by some of these bands that are perhaps a little bit too high and mighty to give their fans a put over and bring them on stage. And I think it was a fantastic moment. It kind of shows you really that these are nice people. These are people who care for their fans. I mean, they could ignore them altogether.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing I suppose that's missing from the spirit of rock and roll these days. You know, people, they don't want to talk, they don't make time for their fans, they don't interact with their fans, they don't do videos for their fans. And you know, at least with the Dogbones, they're making that effort, I suppose, and somebody has to, I think, these days, to save what is an all too dying breed.
I want to see another show, and I can't wait till I get another opportunity to do that. About 10 or 11 songs on the night, as I say, most of the album, and some new songs that I wish were on the album, and I can't wait to get a chance to buy them. Maybe they're on one of the singles, but as I say, you can check them out on their MySpace. You can check out the Dogbones on MySpace, Facebook, and also Twitter. You can keep up to date with their gigs and even get on those reduced price guest lists. Also, don't forget to check out YouTube. Have a search, because what a great video for their second single, All Your Friends Are Going to Kill You, and that is a fantastic single from a great album. It's not the only one. It's certainly, in a way, it got me into the album. I saw the video and I wanted to check out more. I did so, and I found songs like It Was a Lie. You can find 3 Dogbones live in concert videos here on the channel, youtube.com/effin rockyou.